What is up, awesome people? In today's video, I will bust the myth on user story. Many people recently asked me about how to write detailed user story because they want to lock the user stories up front and avoid scope creep in the middle of the project. Many of these people came from project management and business analysis backgrounds. If you're interested to hear myth busting on user story, stay tuned, don't go anywhere folks. Many people think user story is about the template. The template of user story that has been taught by many people on the internet sphere and on YouTube is as such. But to know what user story is all about, we have to listen to one of the people who created user story, and his name is Ron Jeffries. Ron Jeffries is one of the first development team members who practiced extreme programming. User story was an extreme programming practice, and according to Ron Jeffries, this is not user story. Ron has written a blog about user story titled Essential XP, Card, Conversation, Confirmation. Go to this link here or click the link in the description below to read more about his blog. In his blog, he wrote that user story has three critical aspects, that is, card, conversation, and confirmation. User story is not about a template for writing requirements, but more about a practice for collaborating with the customers. The developers have conversations with the customers or the Scrum product owner about how the system should work, and a lot of times this is done in front of a whiteboard. The conversation is not a one-time thing. It is done during release planning for estimation and also during iteration planning or Scrum sprint planning for implementation scheduling. These conversations are largely verbal. Oftentimes the user would do storytelling and give examples of how he or she expects the system to work, hence the name user story. After having conversation with the customers, the developers would capture the information and write it on an index card. The card does not contain all of the information that makes up the requirement. Instead, the card has just enough text to identify the requirement and to remind everyone what the story is. The card is a token representing the requirement. There is no specific format on what needs to be written on the card. In fact, in many cases, Ron Jeffries even said there is no card at all, as the conversation and the confirmation is the most important aspect of this whole user story practice. Based on the conversation the developers had with the customers, they will develop a small portion of the functionality within 1 or 2 days and then show it off to the customers to get confirmation. Oftentimes, Ron Jeffries said that this works like an acceptance test, and if the customer confirms it, the developers will move on to work on the next card. Can you imagine that? An acceptance test every 1 or 2 days? It's very agile. Compare that with the project management model where the acceptance test is only scheduled and done once near the end of the project. So this cycle is what user story actually means. Focusing on the user story template, we lose the essence of user story because user story is not about written requirements, but more about conversation and developing small pieces of the product iteratively in 1 or 2 days. There is nothing agile about locking user stories up front. Many teams are reluctant to develop small incremental pieces within 1 or 2 days because they are afraid of rework and breaking other functionalities in the whole system. But development teams should not be afraid of rework if they also practice test-driven development, which is another extreme programming practice. But then, we're also trapped inside this vicious circle because many developers do not practice test-driven development because their managers think that it's a waste of time and adds extra cost. But we'll save the discussion about the value in test-driven development in another video. Many project managers in the industry hate this way of working as there is possibility of scope creep, and also without any written documentation with blood stamp on it, it's hard to find who to blame. And that's why many people in the industry are overly emphasizing the template for user story. Another myth around user story that is found in the industry is many people think user story is part of Scrum. User story is not part of Scrum. A lot of people confuse user story as part of Scrum because tools like JIRA have a menu to create user story. Many people are exposed to Scrum from using JIRA rather than from reading the official Scrum guide. In the official Scrum guide, the word user story is not mentioned even once. A Scrum is only a framework. User story therefore is considered as complementary practice. Development teams do not have to be bound by tools like JIRA and do not have to practice user story if it's not relevant for their context. The last myth in the industry on user story is many people still think if they have a back-end related work, it must be written as a technical story. A story is supposed to be told by the user, hence the name user story. User story is about storytelling, so there's no such thing as a technical story or backend story because a technical or a backend cannot do storytelling. So, that is all from me today, folks. The next time someone asks you about how to write perfect detailed user story, go direct them to this video, or even better, go direct them to Ron Jeffries' blog so we can together reduce this misperception about user story. Thanks for watching today's video. If you found today's video insightful, go smash that like button or go buy me a coffee from the link here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you will not miss any of my future videos. See you until my next video. Until then, stay safe and Scrum on, folks.